Hey everybody, it's Robert coming to you with another adventure into history. I'm out here with Dan, and we're in the woods of Talbot County, Georgia today, and we're at this very nice old cemetery, although I think it is just one grave here, maybe two, that we're going to take a look at. This is in the woods of Georgia. It's now a wildlife management area, which means it's state-owned land, but this is in an old community, and there's some of the only signs left from this old community. I've documented many old home sites and several other cemeteries in this community, but I did not know about this one, and my friend Cecil Young, who is going around doing an amazing job of documenting cemeteries in Talbot County, told me about this one. He had found it, so we're going to take a look at it.
Well, first thing comes to mind is who is it?
Yes.
And you know, there's no name on it, so we're not far from, as the crow flies, from Collinsworth Methodist Church, and this fence is almost identical to the fence that is around the Leonard family plot, which was put there sometime in the 1840s, 1850s. There are two graves over in here. I would assume that the one who died first is built up substantially out of rock, and then the person who died second has just this little headstone.
Oh, I see.
One little headstone there at the head, and maybe one down there at the foot. But if I had to guess, I'd say that this possibly is a husband and wife. But that is a ancient cedar tree that has grown up through that grave. And if you look, it has grown up absolutely through the rock. Look at this side around here.
Wow. It really has through the rock.
Of course, the cedar tree has been dead for a long time. But it takes a long time for cedar to rot away.
Yeah, it does.
It's just such a shame that there was never a name put on this.
That's right.
I'm sure with a little research we could find out who lived on this place.
And for being out in the woods like this fence is remarkable that it's still here. Of course, today it's protected, being on a wildlife management area, and all historic sites on state land like this are protected. They are just left alone, such as this. But for many years, this was just the woods. You all right?
There's a snake around there.
Oh, is there? What kind is it?
Oh, black snake.
Oh, okay.
But it's coiled up and ready.
It is. I see him too. Hey there, fella. Oh, you just ain't nothing but an old rat snake. Ain't nothing but an old rat snake that's waiting on a squirrel to run by. We got a fresh shed too. We gonna leave you alone. I ain't gonna mess with you. I'm gonna say hey to you. Say hey, snake. Say.
Give my regards to my cousins in Waverly Hall.
That's right. But as I was saying, this used to be nothing but the woods here. And this road was impassable for a long time. Dan, you were saying it used to be worse than Rough Edge.
Oh, it was terrible. You couldn't come back in here. This was known as bunkum. And it was impossible to come back in here on these dirt roads. The county did not maintain the road through bunkum. And only in, the years once they established this wildlife place out here, then they started keeping up the roads. But if this fence was not here and that pile of rock, you would never know this cemetery was here.
That's right.
There's nothing else out here to indicate that this is a little cemetery.
And this used to be a very sizable community. There's a lot of old home sites out here. I've tried to document as many of them as I could find. But they all look like they ended right after early settlement.
Mm-hmm.
You don't see modern trash around them, and it's all very early settlement style buildings. So it's kind of in the similar vein as Rough Edge, where people came and then left from this area.
There's no gate.
No gate,
It's
yeah.
just an enclosure.
So this is probably, what would you say, 1840s, 1850s?
At least 1850s. It's certainly prior to the Civil War. This style of wrought iron fence.
What kind of artifact is that?
I was wondering the same thing. It almost looks like a little iron pot with the bottom gone out of it, but it's not. I think it may be something pertaining to an old wagon wheel hub.
That's what I was thinking, old wagon wheel hub.
Mm-hmm.
And again, here's the grave. No marker on it, just a stacked stone burial here.
That looks like it had lines carved on it at some point.
It sure does. Just noticed that.
And that almost looks like a piece of soapstone up there.
Those are definite lines there. I'm gonna actually hold that, move this, and we're gonna put it right back where it came from. But on that side, it's just a rock, but it's definitely been. There's definitely a line in there.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing else. I'm guessing the tree pushed
Yeah, that's
all
just
this up, but no
just a-
name.
capstone for the grave here.
Well. So I'm taking Dan over to the old home site that I knew about, that is directly across from this grave, and very likely the home of the mysterious person who's buried there, the unknown person that's buried there. But I wanted to show these terraces that we walk through to that. Now, if you look behind Dan, there's a clear terrace back there. And another one. And then look at this one right here. This one had some rock in the side of it too, it looks like. And then we've got more, but we're gonna have to cross the road. Dan and I were just discussing another terrace. We're actually at the old home site, but we've got to cross another terrace here, which is like the 4th or 5th one.
Yeah.
But
It's I mean, it goes flat and then it drops down and then it goes flat
Yeah.
again. It's just like steps.
yep, that's
Large
right.
steps.
And so the point of the terrace is for hilly land that could otherwise not be farmed. It allowed them to farm basically every inch of land by smoothing out and creating the drops.
Pretty sure that that man buried in that grave up there had something to do with this.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. You have an old terrace level too, don't you?
I do.
That's
I have
cool.
part of one. And then I have the mule, the old pans that they pull behind the mules to do this work too.
Oh, wow. So we are basically straight across from that old grave site. And this is one of very, very many old home sites, old early settlement home sites just out here on this WMA. Like I said before, I've documented more of them, but I'm hoping to come back out here with Dan and take a look at even more that I know about out here sometime in the future, because these are just amazing. We were basically able to see an entire community here in ruins. It's just, just chimneys for the most part, and graveyards or cemeteries, but they're here and standing, telling a testament to the history of the people that came and went from this area. And because we're so close to the Flint River, this would have been settled very early on, right?
Yes. Yeah, this was even settled before the Indians were removed. This is not far from where Joseph Marshall had a reservation. Well, he had a ferry that crossed the Flint River. And Joseph Marshall was a half Indian, half white. He was half Creek Indian. And his father had been a white trader named Thomas Marshall in Columbus, what later became Columbus. but his mother was a full-blooded Creek Indian. And they had a lot of children, Joseph and Benjamin and William, and probably a whole lot of others, but those are the ones that we know about. That is quite a work of art.
And you know, some of these could be, some of these could actually be like the remains of like creek houses too, right?
Of what?
Of like creek houses.
Very possibly could have been.
Because at this current time, they were building houses like this, right?
This one had no mortar in it. It was later patched up. But the original part of it down here, you see the foundation, there's no mortar in any of these joints. Now on the inside, you can still see, like we were talking about earlier, whitewash. Where this was whitewashed, the inside of the house, and then a wooden lintel up there.
And you have to think about how old that is.
Yeah.
Because by the time of early settlement, and I think a good example is the old stagecoach house in Waverly Hall, the Creek were building houses that in the same style as the white settlers, correct?
That's correct. They were. By the time the 1820s rolled around, a lot of them were building log houses. They were clearing land and farming, and they were growing things like gourds and squash, and they would come to the trade facility there in Waverly Hall and try to sell gourds to the settlers that were passing through, because you know gourds were used for dippers,
Yeah,
and other things, and even for storage. They would cut the top off of a gourd, dried gourd, and you could store anything in there. You could store seeds from one season to another. Lots of uses for an old empty gourd. And that was one of the things that they sold, that, and they would actually hunt squirrels and have squirrels available for settlers that were passing through.
and another thing that I had remembered reading is that one of the reasons that the treaty came about, the Treaty of 1826 that removed the creek from the land between the Flint and Chattahoochee River, was because I guess the governor of Georgia saw how successful the creek were with cotton farming between there, and that's why they wanted the land.
Yeah, there were a few of them that did grow cotton and other crops. They were adapting to European customs.
Right.
And now there were some that were staunchly opposed to that. And that's what happened. Those that were staunchly opposed to that got into disagreements with the ones who were not opposed to it. And they got to fighting amongst themselves. And that's the reason that things got bad after they moved over to Alabama. They were given land in Alabama, but they kept coming over, the ones that didn't agree with the agreement that they had with the white settlers and on this side of the Chattahoochee. And they kept coming over at night and raiding places. And that's when it was decided that they just needed to move them on a little further west.
And that started the Creek War of 1836.
That's right. And it's unfortunate that it happened, but it happened. It's all history now.
That's right. And after this treaty was signed, the 1826 treaty was signed, was it Benjamin Hawkins was killed? Is he the one who signed the treaty and was killed?
No, it was McIntosh.
McIntosh, that's right. McIntosh was killed.
Yeah.
And he was the Creek leader at the time, right?
That's
Who signed
right.
the treaty.
That's right. And see, his family and the Marshall family of Indians, they were all intermingled and related in different ways. And you know, there were a lot of those leaders were really, really intermingled with white families. McIntosh's first cousin was the governor, Governor Troup.
Oh, wow.
And you know, there's a lot of deep history there, and it's very interesting to dig into the real part of it. If you dig into the old newspapers and read the stories,
Yeah.
instead of reading some whitewashed, version of it in a history book, if you read the real history, it's very interesting.
Right. Well, there we have it. And this old home site probably connected to the grave over there on the hill. Most likely this is an early settlement home site here. but just very fascinating to see it standing out here, and another, unknown, just like the grave over there, a testament to another time.
This was a pretty good sized house.
Yeah.
There's a corner here.
Yeah, that's right. I'll stand on the other corner back here. Yeah, it should be back here. Definitely a large old house. Probably a log cabin.
Probably so.
All right, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this adventure into history. Amazing old cemetery over there, and old home site here. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and we will see you next time.